I would like to ask Ivars Lubans, the head of Go3 and business to consumer, responsible. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Welcome here.
And Pierre-Adrien Erle is the head of Play Suisse, which is the Swiss public broadcaster and the OTT service as such. We had already a fireside chat yesterday. Maybe some of you already introduced you, but I think we should introduce you again and you explain a little bit what are you doing. So Brigitta, you just know, so Ivars, welcome.
Hello, yeah, my name is
Explain a little bit what you do and what are your operation is and where are you based?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Ivars from Latvia. Currently I'm responsible for largest Baltics OTT player, B2C business. Previously was working on marketing side, pretty much coming up with the brand which was born back in December 2019. And I mean, it has been quite a journey. Like in two words, what is Go3? As I said, it's the largest OTT player in Baltics, but the legacy is that we are coming also from the largest media company. So within the group, we have the TV channels, we have the radios, we have the digital. So it was kind of the logical next step to develop further.
Hi, my name is Pierre-Adrien. I'm from Switzerland, and I work with the public service broadcaster in Switzerland, and I run the streaming service Play Suisse.
Thank you. So yeah, we have a how-to small and pay TV operators can compete with the global giants, and we had a good discussion previously, but I think it would be good to tell the audience what you do and what you have done to compete with the global players, and what do you think, what's your position and what you can pretty much, how you can compete and what makes you different. And I think Brigitta already elaborated on it. It's the content side, it's the local content, it's the localization of content. I would also, to John's question, it's the UX UI, so you understand really your audience, but I think there's a bigger picture to that, so because it's a friend or is it foe. Ivars, any thoughts on that?
I just want to confirm fully that what Brigitta said is completely right, and the local content is completely the thing, and the local language is the king. But also in our case, what helps a lot, and that was also mentioned yesterday in some of the panels, that sports, I mean, in our case, we have pretty much the best selection of sports in the region. Therefore, that is giving a great advantage. Though I must say, Baltic peoples are somewhat weird in the sense of sports taste and even the way or how much they are cheering for sports. But anyways, that's a huge thing. And in our case, also similarly as here, maybe in a bit different format, but we are also working on partnerships with the big giants, and we know that the future doesn't look very bright for small players in terms of content acquisition. As the big players, the studios, they're opening their own players and not distributing the content that much. So we were lucky, or we were on time to sign deals with Discovery Plus and now also with Paramount Plus. So that gives us a nice edge in the Baltics when it comes to acquired content, besides to the very strong local content proposition.
So the mixture between local content, but also helping these global players to get to an addressable market. So you've been also a gatekeeper for them and on the other side you can differentiate through some exclusive deals, I guess on the sports side. Any thoughts on Pierre-Adrien, what would you have done to differentiate? And I know you have also a very strong proposition on the local content side.
Yeah, that's right. At Play Suisse, we believe that we are not really competitors to Netflix and Sky Plus and so on. Our catalog really doesn't overlap with theirs, and what was lacking in the market was a local proposition. And this is exactly what we're offering. We have now over 3,000 titles that are entirely produced in Switzerland. A third of that is fiction, made of series, cinema films. The rest is documentary, films and series. And there is a huge appetite for this locally produced content. It's the narrative of our culture. It's the language we speak. It's our landscape, our stories, and our claim is actually we bring Switzerland together, which is really about telling our stories across our regions. And I think Netflix would have a very hard time getting a catalog that local in our country. Hence, we're still competing for a share of attention, for the time budget people have, that's for sure. But when it comes to allocating that time to local production, I think we're the go-to platform as of today.
Yeah, and also I guess you're locking the market because you're producing locally and there's limited resources for production as well, right? And all of these global players have now to not localize the voice over localizing, it means they have to invest in European production. And that would be really hard, I think, to break into that and to make sure that they secure some sort of Swiss production facilities or output deals. Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting in the coming years because we just voted a new law in Switzerland that states that the international streaming platforms have to invest 4% of the locally sourced revenue back into the local production. This is fairly standard in Europe. It's already the case in Germany, in France. So we're sort of following the regulatory framework that's been already put in place in other countries, but that's definitely going to incentivize international players to invest in our local production, and I'm happy to see how it's going to play. I believe that there will be more co-productions between the local broadcaster, so our media company, and the platforms. We're already having deals with them where they would distribute second windows on their platform, but less and less, I have to say.
We hear from the market is, I was reading that EU directive is that there's not enough production facilities there, right? So even if they've been set that quota for the international to produce, but they will have issues to fulfill those because there's limitations in the market right now. But I think it's also a good advantage because you know these markets and you have much easier access to secure this kind of production output or whatever it is, or commissioning these productions. But going back also, what do you think is key to differentiate? It's not only content, the language, but I think also UX, UI, different user behavior. Is that something that comes into play, or is it, or what Brigitte said about being more agile, being more responsive, being capable of responding to different events or different kind of cohorts of users that you have and treat them differently?
If I may, I mean, when it comes to UX, UI, definitely that is something that, basically what people want is a flawless experience. And in a sense, we can talk about, some preferences, etc. But in general, when we think about the big players, they have quite an advantage in terms of technology like spendings, for example. So they can, as it was mentioned previously, they can A/B test way more, implement things way quicker. So it is actually a challenge for us to keep up with that. But also we know there's some things that we can we know our customers, we can provide something maybe different than they do. What would be valuable for them? What else would be the advantage? I believe is that us knowing the market, us knowing the customer, we can very successfully work with partnerships locally. Like as it was mentioned previously, we are kind of competitors. At the same time, we are also partners. So also Go3 distribution is being done through VOs, through telcos, and this is the way we believe. I mean, we have gone up to the scale, up to more than 10% market penetration in 2 years, and this is why also the big guys like Paramount Plus or Discovery Plus, which are even rather well-known brands here. As a brand, it is kind of heard, okay, everyone knows in Baltics Discovery, but they don't know what is Discovery Plus. So for them, it's kind of, it does make sense to cooperate with local players, with big players, just to have right away the reach.
Yeah, I think that's one of the misperception that all of these brands resonate in the same way that they've been perceived in Western parts of Europe. I mean, HBO is maybe the exception to the norm, but because they always were a single brand in these markets. But I think that's also you help them to get through these market entrance barriers and access your audience. But you should also probably be also the gateway, right? So you have the billing relationship. You could pretty much leverage your reach to them. So, and what is the response from the audience so far that you bring these brands to these markets?
So very quickly from my side, I mean that is this has been a great addition to our catalog, like acquired catalog, like from both of the partners, and I mean our customers appreciate. The model is a bit different. In one case, it's more like an add-on. In the other case, it's implemented in the VOD's catalog. Still, again, not everyone maybe even knows that they are watching Discovery Plus content, or not everyone maybe even knows that Eurosport is part of Discovery Plus. But there are some things which were for a long time asked by the customers one way or the other, and it gives a great addition to them. And it helps churn, definitely.
Do you have
I
similar
also agree, our markets are the same and really similar, but Estonian knows our brand, and as we know our customer, then they also know us, and that's why we are the good entry point for also the giants to come in, and we also see that people are appreciating content. For example, we also have BBC content, but they still see it as inside our service. But it's something new for them, and because I think we are all the same in the end. And at the end of the day, we will get in front of the TV and we want to watch something, and there has to be something to watch. And we have to make sure that there is something to watch every evening for every different taste.
And do you think that PlaySwiss or SSR SG would also try to aggregate content from the outside of the market, so being a gatekeeper to the audience of public broadcasting in Switzerland, or you think it will be rather pursue as a local provider or local content will be the strengths?
Yeah, when it comes to PlaySwiss as a streaming service, we are really holding our positioning on local content and our Swiss catalog. This is what differentiates us. Nevertheless, we do make exceptions. We have partnerships. For example, we're part of the European collection with Arte, France Télévisions, ARD and ZDF. We are part of this group where we exchange a collection of documentary on a monthly basis to feed a collection, a European collection. So, and that's supported by the European Commission, and it's one of the examples of public service window onto Europe, right? We do also festival partnerships. We have festivals like with the Montreux Jazz Festival, with Locarno Film Festival, with Zurich Film Festival, Vision du Réel in Lyon. It's like those are very grassroots content event that we host on our platform. We started to do this during the pandemic, where they didn't really have a chance to hold their event, and we continue now. So those are the things, the special things where you would see international content. And we are now, and it's not yet done, but we are now in the process of acquiring a couple of European public service fiction series as part of a themed collection. So, for example, if we do a window onto DR content, then we'll have a rail and expose some content from Denmark. This is the kind of things we are happy and interested to do. To start with as an experiment, but also just as to give a window onto other cultures. But this is maybe less than 5% of our catalog.
Yeah, but I'm a strong believer in transnational content.
Yeah.
And there's certain appetite for certain content from certain regions in certain markets. And we see also success in Germany with all of the Nordic crime and suspense series. But so I think that's also what is hard to grasp for a global player, these kind of different audiences and tastes, and what resonates well. But besides, say, the content and the local produced content, and in your case also the news and all the linear lineup, what else do you think is really key to differentiate and to create stickiness and to increase customer lifetime value and make sure that the audiences stays not only with your service. In your case, I know that people are not paying because of the public broadcasting service. But what do you think? What are the other KPIs that are important to keep the audience and maybe drive the ARPU or upsell or increase the time spent with your service? Is there any other things you could think about?
If I may start, with OTTs, it's always, at least in our region, it's the seasonality. The summertime, it kind of goes down, so we see the churn. In our case, one thing is, of course, we work with locked contracts, which kind of gives you a better price if you stay with us longer, but that's not the most organic way. Similar as in Elisa, we also have the TV channels, and basically what we see from our data is as soon as customer starts watching TV channels, and the better if he or she starts to watch it on large screen, then the retention is way higher. The churn goes down. So basically, ultimately, our goal is that that we get into your living room. Like initially, actually, when we launched Go3, we kind of assumed, and it also comes somewhat from our roots from telco business, that it's going to be more like a small screen service. We even worked a lot on short form content that would be like quick to watch on the mobile phone. But in reality, we see that like TV screen usage is by far the highest out of all. And as soon as you are there, and the lifetime value increases significantly.
I also agree, and I think it's also I would add here is that for us we need to provide different platforms, different screens, all the screens that you would already have it on your phone, on your TV, on your dongle, on your set-top box. We are there, and you will keep on using us if you like us. And I think that's true is that now more and more we see that big screen matters the most, and people are being maybe home a bit more than they were 2 years ago before, but now traveling again a little more. So I think small screens are coming back, making a comeback, but it's important to be in the living room and also to have content that would keep them connected to us and providing them with our original content that they can't get anywhere else. And also I think you are doing the same.
Yeah, exactly. We started to do it 1.5 years ago, because obviously producing your own content is expensive. We have the link to the largest media group, as I said, so we used to have a lot of own productions, as we call it, from the channels. And then we started to do some preview windowing and so on. But then when we did the first original, and it was at that time a step up in the quality. That was from Lithuania, a step up in the quality versus what we used to have in the Baltics, at least in Latvia, Lithuania for sure. I think in Estonia as well. Like those TV series, they're like 80 episodes long. Some, not to say crappy, but very simple ones. So to
Slow
say.
ones.
Slow ones, yeah. And that was a step up in the quality, and we saw an increase in customer base right away. We saw people appreciated. Now we have the 5th season or even 6th season coming out soon for this legacy already Prince series. So original productions is very important. And in Baltics, as soon as COVID started, and as soon as also all the OTTs started to grow, or let's say more traditional TVs switched to OTTs, the content production skyrocketed, and quality and content-wise. So that has been great for the industry, actually.
Yeah, I have to add here is that the quality that we see now in Estonia from us and also from you guys and the others, it has skyrocketed, and I think we can all say that we are really proud of our content, and it's being really interesting and not boring as it used to be, and I think it's exciting, and it's really something that matters and makes our small country better.
That's only small. It even makes it the entrance barrier even higher, right? It's not only the service and the understanding of the audience, and I think the big screen is still, because of the pandemic, people spend more time home, and you don't have so much use cases where you have multi-screen and smaller devices. But I think that the importance of local content, and even that you produce it, not only that you commission it, but you also produce the content, is quite interesting to hear, and that you got involved in. It's the same with what Pierre Duran was saying, that local content and that is produced and has been in the region and commissioned by the broadcasters or by the operator, is also something that differentiates, because it's exclusive to you, at least for a certain window of time. And
As it was actually mentioned, you know, it is at the moment highly unlikely that, let's say, Netflix would be able to come into Baltics as strong as we can be locally, simply because, and like we go through being pan-Baltic, at some point we thought, okay, so let's use some, not to say money saving, but let's rather increase the quality and then distribute, like let's create some local content, pan-Baltic. So let's have actors from Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, let's have rather, you know, some Baltic series.
Yes.
It doesn't work. I mean, it does work worse than the really pure local one in the country of origin, because like there's going to be still some more focus, either Lithuanian or Latvian, and it doesn't work that way. Like Estonians in taste are somewhat different from Latvians, Lithuanians, but still, like Estonians, they prefer Estonian content, and Latvians Latvian content, and Lithuanians Lithuanian content, and that's, I mean, so it means Netflix, to come to market with 6 million people, they need to produce 3 times the content. You know, that's quite tough.
Probably not by that ARPU, and not only the addressable market, but the return of investment probably not that high. So I think it will be very tough for global players, rather partner with you guys instead of trying to build their own go-to-market proposition.
Yeah, I hope that they are listening to this panel right now and making notes and coming to us.
I don't know
We
if
are
we have
ready.
anyone from the global players here in the audiences. But what else is it? Is it the user experience? Is it other differentiators besides the content? Also on your side, that, I mean, what I really like on your proposition is that it's a sort of certain quality of content that you bring into the audience, and it comes from the same source, the same sort of original content that is also not something you can actually buy. Sure, you can buy from the public broadcasters as well, but it's something that it's a sort of quality standard that you try to raise the bar a bit. But also from a user experience, is there some things that you learned by launching PlaySwiss, that, going back to what Brigitte and Ivas were saying about the big screen and the small screens and different cohorts, different use cases?
I don't think there is a local specificity in terms of user experience. I wouldn't say that.
Mm-hmm.
However, in order to really address the local market, we work in I have three different teams, and in each team we are trying to build proximity with our users. So for in the content team, for example, we're really trying to make those local partnerships, content partnerships with festivals, with institutions like the Cinematheque, for example. We repackage content, archive material, old films that are part of the Swiss history, film history, previous successful series. We repackage them into collections that are complemented by other documentaries around the same theme. We make them attractive again, so to say. So that's very important, because we are sitting on a wealth of content that is basically buried into our servers and not really exploited properly by the catch-up services, where you can't really find your content after 48 hours, basically. So our work has been really to resurface this content in an attractive way and give it a second or a third life. So that's really what we're trying to do also, together with the new and fresh content that we're putting out. The marketing team is really trying to build proximity with the users. We are present at the main events. We're partnering with 12 festivals across the country through the year. We have campaigns on our high seasons. We're really trying to reach out to our users, also with direct marketing. We have a very successful newsletter that helps people navigate our catalog. And on the product side, we do a lot of user research. So of course, we really try to build a product that's most useful for our specific users. I don't see that, you know, they have special needs, more special needs than users from other countries. But for example, on the product side, what's very important is that we partner with our local telcos and cable cos. So we have a big partnership with Swisscom, where we really have meetings twice a month and discuss how we can improve our presence on their box. So all of that together really builds a very strong local presence, I think.
It's the same, Ivers and Brigitte was saying, partnering not only with the content side, but local go-to-market, in this case, in your case, telcos, but also, I guess, the events that you promote this kind of content and really understand your audience and the cohorts and what you need to address and what you need to bring to them. Is there any other things that you, all three of you, could think about? What are the key success factors or things that you haven't ever thought about? Because go-to-market, being more agile, being more quick, to Brigitte's point, small team, not asking too many questions, do it and see, get it out, maybe in a minimum viable product, test what sticks and what doesn't stick, and then change the product constantly. So you talked about a roadmap. Is there any other key success factors that you could think of?
I think the thing is that you don't have to do it on your own. You don't have to do it all yourself. And the market is full of different operators that have done it, and different vendors, different people who have done it. And sometimes just maybe asking, what are you doing? How are you doing it? And they don't have to be your competitors. And I think also as competitors we can sit on the same stage and say what we are doing. And maybe also what differentiates us from the big players is that if you are living in that country, you see us everywhere. You go for a bus, you see us being there marketed on the bus stop. You open up your TV at home, you see our commercial. And you see us everywhere, in your news, everywhere. And but you don't see Netflix in your bus stop. You don't see them surrounding you.
That's interesting, because we actually did competitors analysis in terms of marketing spend in Switzerland. And Netflix doesn't spend much they don't really spend marketing money, because I think they don't need to. There is enough brand awareness in the market so that they don't have to spend money in marketing. Disney Plus has been spending incredible amount of money, but that's justified in a way that they have been launching their service not so long ago. And I think once brand awareness is big enough, you don't really have to invest in those out of homes campaigns, and you had and I think that's very different from a telecom operator that has to compete on pricing all the time, and for a public media broadcaster or content provider like Disney or Netflix, where as we heard in the panel yesterday in a presentation, they don't discount their offer, right? Telco discounts their offers, but who has a discount on Disney Plus and Netflix? Nobody. So there is no really reason for being out there and advertising on your better prices, I think.
No, and given the fact that they've been a household brand, so it's also not that you use the content that you're carrying as a promotion or to market yourself, right? So yeah, and that's a different.
That's the difference, exactly.
That's a different story, right? And for you, it's you're not a service, and what should you promote, right? I mean, you are a service, but you've been a registered user service, but you're not a paid service.
We promote two things. We do brand awareness campaigns so as to establish a brand, because we're a fairly new brand in the market. So Play Suisse is the new B2C brand of our group when it comes to streaming. So this is something we have to establish. People don't really understand that it's part of the public service, so that they don't have to pay for in addition. So this is something we really have to put out. And we also advertise for our new series. So our big landmark series, fiction series, we have a few of them through the year. There we make an extra effort to bring people onto our platform to watch the content.
If I may add, from our side, like the challenge in our marketing strategy or communication in general has been actually to explain people what is Go3. Because even in Baltics, there is no good term for a word streaming. There is no good word for term OTT. And then we try to use different terms and, so basically what we decided when we came up with the Go3, so it would be next generation television. So then what is it? It sounds good as marketing, but it doesn't explain anything. So then even if we think about positioning, we target two types of people. One would be you have your, say, Elisa or Telia or whatever pay TV at home, and then we would like you to take Go3 as an add-on, in a sense that you would maybe watch the movie library, or you are willing to watch sports, and maybe you don't care about TV channels, and then we are next to the Netflix, because obviously we're not competing with them. It's a different niche. The other positioning, or the other target group we are looking at, is actually, okay, so you have your, say, Telia pay TV, IPTV at home, but we are saying, hey, so here's the same but even better. It's more flexible. You can watch it anywhere. It's going to be actually cheaper for you. And then, so this is the two positions or two target audiences. And how do we explain? What is it? It's movies, sports, series, TV channels. But it's every TV provider basically is the same. So how to tell those details, which actually makes the difference. And this has been very challenging, and this is what we're still struggling with. Like, awareness is up there. And we have more than 300,000 customers in 2 years' time, but understanding for the customer on the street what is that and how to explain it in simple words, it's not that easy actually. Because
it's getting also, I think, more and more difficult for you, because when you entered the market, then you were the one that was you can take us anywhere, but now we are all more and more in the, you can take us anywhere.
Exactly.
And that's the issue with the small market, and also the languages.
Yeah,
I see the same.
Yeah, but I understand when you started off, it was pretty much you were the only to-go service, so to speak, and now it's pretty much everybody beats.
There was one in Latvia. There was one in Latvia, and there were some like TV everywhere solutions, which again, kind of if you tell it to regular customers, they don't see the difference at first. You explain them, it makes sense. So, but yeah, the market has grown, and it has been it became very competitive, both from outside and the inside. So. It's always interesting.
The challenge if you have to explain the use case, right?
Yeah.
While promoting the content.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like to open the floor to the audience. Questions for Pierre-Jan, Brigitta, or Ivars. I think it was a very great discussion, and I think very different markets, but similar experience, but some of the experience not similar. But I think I learned a lot, and even smaller markets could be very interesting and very challenging. Any questions?
In the Baltics, do you both look at the feature sets of? Oh, sorry. Sorry for the two of you from the Baltics. Do you both look actively at the feature sets of the biggest players and say, I've got to compete with the features, or is it localization and content rather than, trying to keep up with the neighbors?
I think I can, from my side, I can say definitely we watch what the others are doing, and also you have to, I think, keep in mind that the big players, they have a lot of resources for analysis, testing. You can check what they have already done, and most likely they have done the testing there, so you can already take some notes from them, and definitely you are trying to check also competitors and big players. Local ones.
It goes back to this question that John had about DVR and catch up. So you spend often a lot of money on features that are becoming obsolete, right? And plus the rights that you have to pay for it. But sorry.
No, it's all right. So if I may add, I mean, some of the technology aspects, or most of them actually have already become like a hygiene. So, I mean, that's again the challenge for us is that our customers, most of them have at least tried Netflix before, and then they expect the same or better from us. And it's not only about UX UI, it's also about, let's say, the video player quality, the streaming quality. So that is kind of, that keeps us pushing, keeps pushing us to be there. Not necessarily we would implement everything they would do or have, and we would do some things differently. And there are some things like, we have EPG, we have linear channels, so we have to be smart on how do we implement it next to the VOD, and understanding that actually live TV plus catch-up is actually most watched part of the content in terms of hours. But obviously, I mean, we copy with pride as well.
Time for one more question. No. So thank you very much,
Thank
all
you.
of you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, more than welcome.
Right. And thank you, Annette, for doing the chairing as well.